I must admit, I have never been one for joining clubs. I guess I shared the philosophy of Groucho Marx, who supposedly said, "I refuse to join any club that would have me as a member." As we study the history of Bethlehem, we learn that, as with all older cities, buildings of all types undergo transformations the longer they are in existence. Very few buildings that reach a venerable age retain their original purpose. Older buildings either are demolished or the fortunate ones survive, albeit in another form. We refer to this as repurposing. Today we examine the case of a prominent building which stands impressively at the corner of North New and Broad Street in Bethlehem. This building, now more than 100 years old, is presently a bank branch with a residential component above. For many Bethlehem residents, we fondly recall the commercial space being the headquarters of a regional chain of shoe stores known as Farr's. And although Farr's identity is the one most associated with this distinctive building, long prior to this, the building was known by the odd name, the Odd Fellows Building. So who or what were Odd Fellows? Maybe it's best to let the members describe who they are.
The Independent Order of Odd Fellows is one of the oldest and largest fraternities in the world. We are non-political and non-sectarian. Membership is open to all, regardless of sex, race, religion, political affiliation, and social status, all bound by the desire to improve ourselves and the calling to live and promote the principles of friendship, love, and truth, which transcends labels. We believe that by developing close friendships among each other and by working together in our communities, we can make a difference in the world and among ourselves. Discussing political, sectarian, or any other debate is forbidden in the lodge. So it breaks down the social walls and labels used to view others and opens hearts and minds to start seeing people as brothers and sisters. The exact date of the first founding of Odd Fellowship is lost in the fogs of antiquity. Some historians trace its roots back to the medieval trade guilds, 12th and 13th centuries. Others estimated that it existed before 1650. What is clear is that there were a number of Odd Fellow groups in England in the 1700s. It is said that the titles of the officers of the lodge were taken from the Order of Gregorians, which met at St. Albans in May of 1736. Other evidence suggests that our origins were in an organization known as the Ancient Order of Bucks, which thrived in England in the 18th century, and had as its emblem 3 bucks with their antlers intertwined. These men had as their leader a most noble grand, and met in club rooms and taverns. One of their principal emblems was a bundle of sticks, familiar to modern Odd Fellows as signifying strength and unity. In 1745, Daniel Defoe mentions the Society of Odd Fellows, and in the Gentleman's Magazine, the Odd Fellows Lodge is mentioned as a place where very pleasant and recreative evenings are spent. The earliest surviving printed official lodge record is said to be the Rules of Loyal Aristarchus Lodge No. 9 in England, dated March of 1748. This establishes the fact that this lodge had been operating for some time prior thereto, and its number indicates that at least 8 other lodges that are associated with each other had existed up to that time. King George IV of England, while still Prince of Wales, was admitted to membership around 1780. The oldest surviving revised initiation ritual dates back March 12, 1797, under the Order of Patriotic Odd Fellows. In 1798, it was mentioned that the original United Order of Odd Fellows consisted of a total of 50 lodges in England and its environs. For a time, fraternal and friendly societies like the Odd Fellows were suppressed in England. Membership became a criminal offense, and such organizations were driven underground and forced to use codes, passwords, special handshakes, and similar mechanisms. Fear of revolution was not the sole reason for persecution. Fraternal and friendly societies like the Odd Fellows were the predecessors of modern-day trade unions and could facilitate effective local strike action by levying all of their members for additional contributions for their benevolent funds, out of which payments could be made to the families of members who were on strike. The first lodge established in North America was Shakespeare, No. 1, New York City, December 1806. The 5 Odd Fellows composing this lodge were of the Loyal Independent Order, and the moving spirits were Solomon Chambers and his son John C., English mechanics from the south of London. The founders were 3 boat builders, a comedian, and a vocalist, a group befitting the name Odd Fellows indeed. The lodge was self-instituted, a common practice in those times. Their first candidate was a retired actor, who was the keeper of the tavern where they met. Accounts state that lodge meetings were accompanied by merrymaking and mirth, and that the wares of the tavern were freely indulged in. The early members were zealous workers, and other lodges were soon organized. In 1809, the roll of membership in the 6 New York City lodges comprised 36 prominent citizens and businessmen, as well as many others of less influence. Shakespeare Lodge was dissolved in 1813 due to poor attendance brought on by controversy over the War of 1812. The other lodges, of which little is known, existed briefly until 1816. In 1818, Shakespeare Lodge in New York was reinstituted in the Red Cow Tavern, operated by a former member who had in his keeping the books and papers of the former lodge. Washington Lodge Number 1 of Baltimore was organized April 26, 1819, under the leadership of Thomas Wilde, now recognized as the founder of American Odd Fellowship. Thomas Wilde was born in London, England, January 15, 1782. He was left an orphan 5 years later, and the Oddfellow pledge to educate the orphan sprang from his personal childhood experiences. At the age of 14, Wilde went to live with an uncle. After he had 9 years of schooling, he became an apprentice to a maker of coach springs. He was initiated into the Oddfellows in 1804 on reaching manhood age of 21, in which he distinguished himself by his zeal and integrity and quickly passed the chairs. When restlessness brought Thomas Wilde to America in 1817, the British were still unpopular in the States because of the War of 1812. In that year, Baltimore was suffering both a yellow fever epidemic and mass unemployment. An outgoing personality, Wilde missed companionship and was determined to find if there were any other odd fellows in Baltimore. In December of 1821, Pennsylvania Lodge, Number 1 Philadelphia, was formed, like those in New York, Boston, and Baltimore, on the self-institution principle, John Pierce being the leader, and his associates were likewise English mechanics. While the order had been planted in 4 states and the chief cities thereof according to ancient usage, an effort was soon made to frame constitutions and to obtain charters from the so-called regular bodies of odd fellows in England. After the Civil War, the beginning of industrialization, the deteriorating social circumstances brought large numbers of people to the IOF, and the lodges rallied. Over the next half-century, also known as the Golden Age of Fraternalism in America, the Odd Fellows became the largest among all fraternal organizations, at the time even larger than Freemasonry. By 1889, the IOF had lodges in every American state. In 1896, the World Almanac showed the Odd Fellows as the largest among all fraternal organizations. The independent order of Odd Fellows has spread throughout the world, where it currently have about 10,000 lodges located in Australia, Europe, South America, and elsewhere. Since 2001, the IOF has been fully co-ed, and all genders can join Odd Fellows lodges.
Despite its strange name, the organization stood for principles we can all appreciate, including friendship, love, and truth, which transcends labels. Rules such as preventing the discussion of political, sectarian, or any other debate inside the lodge seems to be very progressive. And any organization that tries to break down the social walls and labels used to view others and endeavors to open hearts and minds to start seeing people as brothers and sisters likewise seems to be very worthwhile. Maybe I'll join this club after all.